Hi and welcome to another karting video. This is the second of the 3 sprint races I'm planning to take part in with Club 100 during 2020, and this time we're at Llandow in Wales. The majority of the races the Club 100 run tend to be in the southeast, which means that the further away you get, they tend to be less well attended, Llandow in particular. But I really like the track, and although it is quite a long journey, I thought, I decided I wanted to do it. And because it's quite a long journey, I took the advantage of going to the Saturday test session after the endurance and SB60 races, which is where this footage comes from. Llandow has a reputation for having a very abrasive track surface, and it really does destroy the tyres. So the karts we're currently driving have done an entire endurance race and a couple of Sprint 60 races, so they're pretty much towards the end of their life, which did make it quite interesting, but nonetheless quite fun. The tyres were changed before the sprint races on Sunday. So, as I was saying, particularly in the heavyweight class that I race in, numbers were down, so we had less heats and actually only a B and an A final, not the normal C, B and A finals. So I can say I have made it to a B final. Obviously you can look at it and say, well, there was only a B final, but still, I'm taking that. I made a B final. So without further ado, let's see how the heats and the final went. So I was actually out in the very first heat of the day, starting from I think 6th position on the grid. Should have been 7th, but there was a no-show, so I'm now starting 6th, and we're coming round to take the start. Start's not too bad, reasonably even. This first chicane is a bit of a pinch point, and as you can see, I kind of get in a bit too deep, make a little bit of contact with the guy in front, and then I lose momentum and a couple of people get past. This corner here, I quite like the wide line, but it never worked all day in terms of just leaving the door wide open for people to come past. But to be fair, most of these guys are heavyweights, not super heavyweights, so I'm not actually racing. Not racing them in terms of it's not a fair fight, right? These guys could be as much as 15 to 20 kilos lighter than me, so that clearly makes a bit of a difference. Oh, that guy's hit the curb a bit hard. I've managed to get down the inside of him, which is not too bad. So coming to the end of lap 1. A bit of a kerfuffle here at the hairpin, not unusual to be honest. Make up a place, almost make up another one, but and the guy that had a bit of a bash on the end of the last lap was back past. But the main thing is about getting a reasonable result for me in comparison with the other super heavyweights. This next corner we're coming up to is a bit odd. It's one of the only places on the circuit where there isn't a lot of grip, and I'm just going to demonstrate what happens if you turn in really late, really wide onto the grass. My tyres are now covered in crap, and you'll see what happens. Coming to the hairpin, put the brake on, no grip at all. Fortunately, this time I remembered that you can't start from the grass, so I have to get out and push the car off the grass and then restart. As I think I might have mentioned in my Right House video, in sprints you can't afford to make mistakes. You only have 3 qualifying heats, and clearly if you make mistakes, that's going to put you at a massive disadvantage. I'm now right at the back of the pack, and given it's only a 6-7 lap race, I don't really make up any significant ground than anyone else, because obviously I had to get out of the car and push it and what have you. So that one error is really quite costly. It's completely my own fault. I turned in way too late. There's no grip. or comparatively compared with the rest of the circuit, there's no grip on this corner, and it's quick as well. And yeah, I just missed the turn in, and obviously, you know, the end result was off onto the grass, dirty tyres, and I should have realised I should have, you know, gone into that corner a bit more gently, waited till the tyres were cleaned up. But hindsight is a wonderful thing. Okay, so on to the next heat, which was heat 6. This is my rear grid start. I think I was starting 11th or something like that, just behind Anwar, which is quite handy. But I get a bad start. Literally just at the point I should have been accelerating, I had to kind of check up behind Anwar, and that loses me a bit of space. But fortunately, the pack doesn't really get away. I kind of close back up again. Got someone trying to come around me. Oh, tyres off, people off to the side of the track. That might happen again later in this video. A bit of bumping and bashing. But again, I'm just trying to consolidate my position here. I'm not really expecting to, based upon my pace, move to the front. Just don't make any stupid mistakes. Thankfully made it through this corner without ending up in the grass. Somebody just come past with a hairpin onto the back straight. Now, braking into the hairpin is fairly, I was going to say easy. There's a very well-defined line that you brake, which is that where the tarmac changes. For some reason, I don't really know what was going on with this car. The brakes were just different from the others that I drove, and I just got it wrong. It caused me to lock up, but it happens again. I have another lock up. In fact, if we watch this entire heat, which we won't because it's not really worth it, you'll see another couple of times where I don't brake abnormally, you know, in an abnormally heavy way or late, but it just locks. And yeah, very strange. The car itself just felt slightly odd as well. The front end was really, really sharp, much sharper than the other cars I'd driven. Now, I'm not trying to make excuses, because fundamentally you have to drive with the machinery you're given, but by this point I'd done the test on Saturday evening. I tested on Sunday morning as well, so I'd done, I don't know, 60, 70 laps around this track and hadn't had a spin or a lockup, a major lockup yet. Twice in the space of 2 laps it locks. So you know, and you know, the brakes on these cars, you know, if you stamp on the brake too hard, they will lock. Absolutely no doubt about that. But this one just seemed to be odd and not like any of the others. But like I say, it is what it is. I'm sure other people drove this car after me and didn't have multiple spins. But to be fair, you know, in all but a few cases, I've kind of eradicated that out of my driving. When I first started driving Club 100, I did struggle with braking. I struggled a lot with locking and spinning, just because it was different and new, and not something I was used to. But over the years, I've learned to, you know, get better at it, and I can modulate the brakes, and I can, you know, in general, don't have silly spins like that. So it's a bit frustrating. And as I said, you know, you can't afford to make mistakes. Particularly, you know, you've only got 6-7 laps to get a result. That's not going to happen if you spin twice. So yeah, heat 6, not great. So on to my third and final heat of the day, heat 9, which was actually the final heat before the finals. I pretty much knew that, barring some major miracle, I'd be starting in the B final, so I'd be racing straight after this. I was starting 4th on the grid, come around the final corner. Not too bad a start, nice and even, pretty good, holding pace with everyone. I mean, I'm a bit slower here, but you can see I've got my foot flat on the gas. This is mostly down to weight more than anything else. Bit of pushing, shoving and general merriment. going through the first chicane, coming down to this corner again, yet again, you can see I've taken a wide line. I've left a massive amount of space, and I think that's Tim Hill has said thank you very much and just driven straight past me. But anyway, as I said, you know, these got most of the, in fact, all of these guys are all heavyweights. They're not supers. I'm not really racing against them directly. They're not in the same class as me, so there's no point stressing over it and doing stupid things and getting, you know, bashed out of the way or making a silly lunge for no particularly good reason. And given the poor oh, it's a massive melee here coming into the hairpin for the first time, but I survive it, don't collect anyone, and manage not to spin, which is nice. As I was saying, you know, given the problems, mistakes that were made in the first two heats, I just needed a reasonable finish. You know, any places I could pick up were going to be a bonus and would help my starting position in the B final. So, lap 2, through my nemesis corner, but nice and tidy. Through the hairpin onto the back straight. And in many cases, the difference in speed here, you know, some of it does come down to pure the amount of weight that the cart's having to shift. You know, I could maybe be on the throttle a bit earlier coming out of that hairpin, but fundamentally, you know, the weight is a factor. I'm also tall, which means, obviously, from the point of view of once you're up to speed, aero, I'm not very aerodynamic. So fundamentally, you know, some of these guys, even if I was to get on the throttle exactly the same point as them coming out of the corner, they are going to pull away from me, and there's absolutely nothing I can do about that. It's just what it is. But as I said, the main thing here is keep it clean, keep it tidy, don't make any mistakes. You can see, I mean, this is a heavyweight. Literally, he's able to only slightly pull away from me, not massively quickly, but you can just see obviously the benefit of having a slightly less weight in the car means that under power he is going to pull away a little bit, particularly out of slow corners. But as I said, you know, it's not the end of the world. And I think in the B final, my starting position relative to the other super heavyweights wasn't too bad, but as we'll see, other factors came into play. We are going along reasonably nicely here, but as I said, you know, what I'm getting is a number of the lighter drivers are just obviously able to go just a little bit faster than me, which is only so much I can do. So I've only now just been caught by some of the super heavyweights, so it's taken 5 laps for that to happen, so it's not absolutely horrendous. And you can actually see the difference when you're dealing with someone of a similar weight to you, that, you know, they're not driving off into the distance quite as quickly as some of the others did, because, you know, we're dealing with, in fact, I'm actually ever so slightly gaining on them at that point. So it's just, you know, like I say, it's just the way it is, unfortunately. And with sprint races, it does make it difficult, because the first few laps, if you're starting in the front, is just, you know, there's a massive scramble as people try and push their way past, and if one person gets past, then it's 2, then it's 3, particularly on lap 1. And there's no, you know, there's no point in being super forceful. It wouldn't necessarily gain me anything, and potentially I could end up off the track or picking up a silly penalty. So it's trying to find that line between losing as few paces as possible, but while also not losing a huge amount of time, which is the problem. It's once people start to come past, you can lose quite a lot of time. And you can see here, this guy in the black has just overtaken another super heavyweight down the straight. You can see it's easy for him, but it's not massively difficult because he's got a clear pace advantage there. So, you know, as I said, these guys finally only caught me on lap 5. They haven't leapt off into the distance. You know, there is a bit of a difference in pace there, but not huge. And the main thing is I was just trying to really stabilise my position and not make any mistakes, because having spun out in my first 2 heats, I really needed to at least finish on the road and not have done anything stupid in my final heat. So I think lap 7 we're coming to the end of the heat. So that's heat 9. We're going to go pretty much straight into the B final. Final lap, so we've got 1 more lap to go. So yeah, I'd be going straight to the B final. Like I say, you know, barring some kind of major miracle, I think I would have had to have finished like the first 2 or 3 of this heat rather, to have actually not been in the B final. But someone's had a bit of a spin there. Yeah, I think I'm raising my hand purely because he was actually restarting when I was coming past. Now, you know, one of the things that we're supposed to do when you have spin, you're supposed to be careful about rejoining. Now, you could argue no harm, no foul, it wasn't really a problem, but you know, maybe you should have waited. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Fundamentally, I got that place. I don't think he even got close to me by the time we reached the checkered flag, so that was a bit of a bonus. And at least I finished on the road and didn't do anything stupid. So into the B final we go. I'm starting 20th, which is not great, but given the dreadful experience I had previously, you know, it is what it is. So the start's not too uneven. At least I'll make a bit of momentum coming into the chicane for the first time. All concertina is up, coming out past the tyres, and that's all kicked off. There are people all over the place. There's a blockage. I really didn't have much of a choice but to go on the grass, and unfortunately that actually lost me a whole load of places. But you know, by the time, obviously there was a cart that was across the track, tyres across the track. There wasn't really an option to go to the right. I could only go to the left, and there wasn't really anywhere for me to go, so I really had to go to the grass. I know some people just booted it across the grass, but I was a bit more circumspect. Maybe that was not the greatest. People who started quite a bit further back down the grid than me had the advantage of actually having the right hand side of the circuit clear at that point, so they were able to, you know, make up a huge amount of places while I was rally crossing across the grass. They were able to make up places on me, which is a bit unfortunate. So we're going to take the first lap into the side view, and you can see the tyre all out of place, and that's the car beached across the track. I've only got an option to head across onto the grass, so yeah, not great. Okay, so head down, it's now lap 2, you know, the incident's over and done with, but there wasn't a great deal I can do. So these guys in front of me don't seem, you know, super quick, but I've now got the problem that we've now got some people coming back through who were involved in that incident, like me on lap 1, so you know, they're going to be coming back past, but I need to get back on the back of this pack and try and see if I can't actually make up some places, because I think a lot of these people were much further back than me on the grid, but had the advantage of not being as disrupted as badly through that incident at the chicane on that one. Now actually you can't see it here, but when we started the race, it was just starting to spit with rain. You can see the clouds are quite dark, so I was slightly concerned that it was going to rain, but never actually turned into anything. So it was a bit dark, but you know, it didn't actually fundamentally rain. So you can see here's a massive pack of carts. I don't know, 6, 7, 8 carts, and they're all fighting, squabbling, and not seeming to really make much progress, which is good for me because I can actually get back onto the back of them. I think in a lot of cases they're heavyweights and novices, not supers. I think there are a few supers ahead of them, and then there's the really quick supers who are right up the front. So this is a longer race. This is like 14, 15 laps or something. So we shall see if the natural order kind of sorts itself out. Do the supers that are at the head of this pack kind of come back to me? So obviously that was the driver, Tim, who was involved in that quite heavy impact on that one. He's genuinely rapid, so letting him past is no real bother. The main thing is I need to get back on this pack. He's going to probably push his way through quite easily. Ideally, it'd be nice to be there to pick up the scraps, but let's see. You can see generally he's quite a bit quicker than these guys. He's picked up one. Oh, so that's very kind. This guy's decided to let me through. I don't really know why. I mean, I was genuinely racing him. I was catching him, but I wouldn't say that I was massively quicker. But yeah, thank you. Very kind. It's not often somebody just lets me past. I mean, maybe he was confused. Maybe he wasn't. I mean, that's one of the things that's quite difficult. If you're quite new, you don't know. You can't recognise other racers by sight. You don't know who the quick guys are. You don't know who's recovering from an incident and who you're genuinely battling, and maybe who you aren't. I mean, I've now been in the championship long enough that I know most of the regulars. I can spot them out of the corner of my eye and genuinely know who I should fight and who I shouldn't. I mean, sometimes I get it wrong. I think if you watch the video from Lid, experience, I let someone past on the final lap thinking that I wasn't racing them, when in fact I was, but I just didn't recognise them. And maybe I should have defended harder, but the thing is, there's got to be a bit of give and take, and there's no point in just deliberately blocking someone because it will just slow you up when they're fundamentally much quicker than you. So anyway, very nice, whoever that was, very nice of them to let me past. They really didn't need to. So there's still quite a big group in front of us here. I think 5 or 6 carts probably. So it would be good to manage to close up on them. They don't seem to be disappearing off into the distance at any great speed, so hopefully there's an opportunity. What I need to do is just get my head down, turn some clean laps, and see if I can close that gap up, because I'm sure a lot of them, probably in clean air, are much quicker than me, but because they are in a big group and they're all squabbling, they're not going to be particularly quick. So yeah, see what we can do. Definitely closing up, which is great. About lap 8, we're lap 8 now, so another 5-6 laps to go, maybe 7 laps depending on timing. So there's a definite opportunity. Right, yeah, you can see how, again, they're squabbling, see how slow they are coming out of McWhirter's into this fast section, which really works to my advantage. It doesn't in the air, so someone's obviously gone off. Right. So that's Lee Barrow ahead. Just a couple of cars ahead. He started behind me on the grid, but I think he benefited from the altercation on lap 1. He obviously must have got through where I had to go on the grass, so he managed to gain a few places. And obviously at this point of the race, because they're fighting, my pace is better. So I've managed to close up on this group. The thing is, have I got enough pace to actually make a move to get past these guys? Or, you know, basically the pace difference is enough for me to close up to the back, but not enough for me to find a way past. And there is a danger that you kind of get lulled into following what the people in front are doing, so you end up driving relative to their pace, not to your own. And you can see this guy's obviously looking behind him. He's made a mistake coming out of the corner onto the straight, so I managed to close up. But you know, I'm not close enough to make a move in any stretch of the imagination. You know, I'm not even alongside. It'd be a massive lunge, and it would probably fail. So it's just not worth it. Again, it's a case of what can I do? Can I close up enough? Oh, somebody off the track there. That's interesting. Funny place to have a spin. Right, and we seem to have caught Tim up again. So I don't know whether he had a kart problem, or maybe he was just winded from the collision, and he's going to let me through here, which is really unusual. He's clearly off the pace for whatever reason. So it's a couple of places made up, which is quite good. But now, you know, time is running out. I need to get up to the back of these guys and try and see if I can actually make a move. But to be fair, I think I've got the pace to close up. I don't think I've got necessarily the pace to get past unless someone makes a mistake, you know, makes a lunge, holds someone up. So again, a bit of bumping and bashing there. So again, I've managed to close right back up again. You know, because fundamentally they are holding each other up. Llandow isn't the easiest place to pass at. I mean, I know obviously you see much quicker people than me pass me, but that's partially because they have a big pace advantage now, because you know they've had to fight particularly hard to get past. The final corner represents a good passing place because it's quite heavy braking. So you know, if you get a good run out of the final chicane and your cart's got reasonable pace, you can potentially get alongside someone and outbrake them going into that corner. And there's a lot of space, so you can do that. Also, coming onto the back straight, if you can get a good run out of there, you can then obviously make a move into that back straight chicane. So coming out of McWhirter's, again you can see these guys are fighting, kind of holding themselves up a bit. Lee's kind of got pushed to the back of the group. So can I get onto the back of him? And then the second question is, can I actually get past? So heading down the back straight. Let's see if I can actually close up, maybe close up on the brakes into the hairpin. Yeah, it's fairly even. But I suspect these two in front aren't going to let it lie. They're still going to be fighting, which obviously could work to my advantage. But we're running out of laps, and it's lap 13. Possibly another 2 laps to go, maybe 3, depending on how the time works. We'll see what the countdown timer says the next time around. I've lost a bit of ground on this lap actually, I don't really know why. I must have made a mistake somewhere. Right, through the chicane, onto the back straight. So I reckon another couple of laps. So you can see in front, they haven't really broken away, but I've kind of lost that. I was, right on their tail at one point, probably 3 or 4 laps ago. I've not really been able to make that gap back up again. Maybe because they're fighting less, or they've naturally picked their pace up a little bit because they're not fighting quite as aggressively as they were previously. I've gone a little bit quicker. The good thing is, from my point of view, given the struggles I had in some of the earlier heats, I've turned in some reasonably consistent lap times. They need to be a little bit quicker. And there's someone who's had a spin there, the hairpin. And that was actually the end of the race. So they had a spin on the final corner of the final lap, and I don't know whether I managed to get them on the line or not. But I think the main issue for me was the incident on lap 1. Obviously pushed me on the grass, got me out of position with some of the other guys that I'd qualified ahead of, and I managed to catch up with this group, these guys here and me, but didn't really have enough laps to make a move. Oh look, fist bump. No, it's cool, it's good, considering the struggles I had previously, but a shame that I couldn't have been racing them earlier. It is what it is. But I hope you've enjoyed the video. There'll be more coming along soon. Please like, subscribe, and all that stuff.
We'd like you to make your way to the scales, please. All drivers making their way to the scales.